up some great shows to Mystic Lake Amphitheater. The legendary Bob Dylan will be there July 6th. Motley Crue, August 21st. Santana and the Doobie Brothers, August 27th. Get complete details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Speaking of legendary, the legendary one is back from his legendary Italian vacation. Mark Rosen on with Tenna B and Brett Blakemore as the common man is out. We thought you had such a relaxing vacation that we just didn't want you to go from like pure relaxation, like a 1 to 10 in terms of relaxation to stress. So I'm here to kind of buffer that before you have to deal with Common next week.
Yeah, you have no idea how excited I was. I forgot that he was gone today, and I saw, on the X machine that you were working today, and oh my God! Again, it's like I was like back in Italy. It's the same feeling. Same feeling not having Common here. He's on his way to his.
What vacation would be like? Comparing to Common. How would you compare that? Iran, apparently.
Right. Correct. Something
the Strait
like
of Hormuz. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting locked in there. Yeah, it's good.
Well, how'd the vacation go?
It was fabulous. I don't know if you've been there.
It's heaven.
I credit, like you do. You credit my wife in particular, and our good friends Mike and Ann for. Mike in particular, Ann too, both of them. They did such a wonderful job of planning, everything about it, and so it was structured. Yet we had a lot of free time. I mean, I'd never been to Rome before, and it's sort of like that moment. I wanted to necessarily take the tour of the Colosseum. I'm having knee replacement surgery in June, so climbing
in June.
Yeah, and June.
Not State Fair time.
It may linger.
Okay.
But the idea of, I've heard that, climbing a zillion stairs, there's no way I was going to do it. But just, I'm trying to compare it with a stadium, and I really can't because it's obviously it's a non-functional, but you drive, I'm watching all the movies and Gladiator, blah, blah, blah. But the first time our driver got us close to there to drop us off, and you gaze at that thing, you go, oh my God. And then we're up high. I didn't get down, ground level, but, our friends actually took a tour there the day before, but, it kind of takes your breath away. And then we kind of had some fun. We took a picture, and I said something like, we're checking out Vikings versus Lions. And I don't know if people actually, even Karin got some feedback going, are the Vikings going to play the Lions in Rome? And I'm going, I probably should have added the Lions are heavy favorites because they usually win in this place. It was I'm going, it's a joke. Anyway, but it was spectacular. Rome was
but the NFL has probably looked at the Coliseum as a future site because there's not an acre on this planet they haven't tried to put a football game somewhere international.
They're hitting pretty much every other country. I don't think
we're going to Mars next. That's where the NFL's going next.
Where?
Mars.
That might be.
Yeah, they're looking at Mars for their next season.
But plenty of things to enjoy in Rome. Then we went on to Tuscany area. There's a whole bunch of different little towns. We stayed in a great spot, and I had actually a couple of highlights. Went to a cheese making farm, and think, what the hell is that? We live there. Literally, the sheep are there when you first arrive.
Sounds like Green Bay.
It kind of does, but you put these plastic booties on your feet, so when you walk through the pit,
sure.
And the sheep are, going around, and they explained how they get the milk, and then it goes from the milk to this, and, the whole process to the point where you eventually get to taste about 8 different kinds of cheeses. And at one point, it's pretty funny. He passed along this guy could barely speak English, and he had an interpreter, which was wonderful. He was a real character. He reminded me of the guy, in Seinfeld, no soup for you, right? So at one point, he passed the cheese along to all four. We're sitting at this table, and there'd be wine with it, of course. And you're supposed to smell the cheese from the tip all the way to the beginning. You're supposed to inhale the scent of the cheese to understand what's going on. And he's explaining, how old it is and da-da-da-da. Well, I made the mistake one time of taking a bite, I think, before I was supposed to. And that's what reminded me of Seinfeld. We laughed about it the rest of the trip. He goes, respect the cheese. Respect the cheese. And that was kind of our standard line for the rest of the trip. But I could not stop laughing because he said it.
That's how I'm going to preview Vikings Packers next year.
Yeah, respect.
You got to respect the cheese.
Yeah, there you go, Brett. I did that for you.
You got to respect the segment. I know that.
And thinking, well, wait a minute. But
I'll save that for the button bar Sunday mornings.
Respect the cheese. I could not stop. His eyes got real wide. He was not happy with me. I didn't see the instructional manual. Anyway, it was great though. He was terrific. And then we had someone taught us how to make pasta. They came to our place and, we made dinner from scratch, with that whole thing. And it's weird. And then we ended up in Florence, which, as you know, is, it's just spectacular going to see the David, Michelangelo's work. And, there's a lot of people around, obviously, but the food and the people, everything about
tomatoes taste different.
Everything. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm a pretty frank guy. I got home on, what time did we get back? Late Tuesday night. Got some sleep. Got home in time to see the Wild game, which I was thrilled about because I was getting up at 4:00 in the morning. I'm not making this up. Sometimes because I had to, because I had to use the facilities, but I checked my phone because that's what time the games started there at about 3:30 because it's 7 hours ahead. So, I mean, I look at the, the time on.
And some of our games are like 9 o'clock starts.
I went. It says Wild in Dallas, 3:30 a.m. I went, oh, that's right. It starts at 3:30 a.m.
3:30 a.m.
So I would check the score periodically. So where was I with the?
I was asking about the tomatoes.
Oh, the tomatoes. I got back and I was talking to someone who's been there as well, and I'm trying to figure out how I lost 7 or 8 pounds when I was on this trip. But I did. And I was saying, well, I walked a lot. I walked a fair amount. Sure. I mean, I didn't walk as much as I wanted to.
But you know what? I just came back from Disney World for spring break. Did a lot of walking. Yeah. A lot of stroller pushing. I gained weight. So. Well,
I do think, first of all, no butter because it's olive oil. And we went to an olive oil factory too, where they showed you how they make it and, that whole thing. But I think, I'm not an expert on this stuff, but I don't think there's any preservatives that they use in their food like we have here. And I think everything in the portion sizes were good. And it just seemed like I was eating clean. It felt good. And the tomatoes, of course, taste different. And the weather was.
The bread tastes terrible, though. I'm sure you lost weight, but
it's so.
I need some preservatives in my bread.
I know what you're talking about, and I understand that.
It's bland.
I had to kind of smother it with olive oil to kind of get some.
Sure, yeah.
But there's no butter, and that might help us. Anyway, we had a great time. It was spectacular, and glad to be back. And really good timing with what's going on in our town today, and a lot to be from a sports standpoint. And that's the thing. I mean, sports is about community. It's about community involvement. It's we haven't. It's a shared experience. We go through that whole thing all the time. We just haven't had a lot of it in postseason, as we know. Wolves have been there, 2 years in a row, but the Wild have a chance tonight. It's just amazing that these two games are going head to head, separated by maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes of home ice and home court advantage tonight.
We'll talk about sports the rest of the show, but we have to finish the Italy segment here. You and I apparently are Italy experts now because we're being asked questions like from Drew, who says, going to Rome and Florence in June, do both of you recommend a day trip to Pisa?
I've never been there. So I listen, I don't know. Leaning Tower
yes.
I've never been. So
I did go there I wouldn't say day trip. It's like half a day. Pisa it's fine. Other than seeing the Leaning Tower Pisa and also then taking the pictures where you act like you're holding the Leaning Tower Pisa up and positioning your hands. It's fine, but I wouldn't say you have. If I would, the one thing I would recommend, and I know I recommended it to you, but you guys had already made plans. From Florence, I would take a day trip to Cinque Terre. It's on the coast.
You did mention that.
There's 5 little towns that are all just on the bluffs, on the cliffs, and it is literally my favorite place I've ever been in my life. So that's what I would recommend. Go to Cinque Terre.
And my recommendation is, he said Rome?
He's doing Rome and Florence.
Here's what I would do. If you can, I don't know if they're going with other people or not, but we took a golf cart tour, and it was spectacular because, when traffic is traffic.
Yeah.
But they zip around on the golf carts, and, he took us back. That's where he took us past the Coliseum and went to, we stopped and got our gelato, and we saw a bunch of the other sights and sounds of Rome. But in a golf cart, it's really easy. And so my recommendation is, especially if you're other people, it's probably less expensive that way. Like we had, it's worth it because it's kind of the way to go. When you have that up, I didn't see it. Florence is nuts. I mean, I took a video. It's sort of like, we took a taxi to the last time, the restaurant, and I took a little video of it. It's sort of like driving. Imagine driving through the Midway at the State Fair. That's what it feels like when you're going through those narrow streets, because there's not a lot of room for cars there. Everybody's on scooters or else on bikes and walking.
The cars are crazy.
They are, but that part of it's great. But I mean, I would.
The cars are crazy, and the people try to scam you are crazy.
Well, I didn't have any. I mean, knock on wood, I was warned, and I took every security approach I could possibly take with that thing, the shoulder thing I had, and just being careful about not taking your money out and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't see any issues whatsoever.
So I always had like my money basically like in a front fanny pack.
I did.
And then I was like carrying a backpack. We were walking everywhere. We were youngins at the time.
Right.
So I was, and the temperature changes all the time. So you got to dress in layers, and you got to bring a jacket, and you got to bring a sweatshirt, but then you might be taking it off. And so I had a backpack on, and there were multiple times get back after the day's done, and you'd see like your zipper on your backpack.
Well, that's what scared me about the backpack. And
you never even knew. You never knew.
It's crazy. Years and years ago when I was there.
There's so many people too.
I got pickpocketed once years ago when I was there. 20 years ago when I'm walking down the street in Florence, and this woman comes up to me and hands me her baby. And as she's, what are you going to do? Drop the baby? And as I'm holding the baby, someone else is reaching in my front pocket and got some, lira out of my.
Well, then I would keep the baby then until they give me the money back. You want my money back? Otherwise, I'm taking your baby.
So fast. So I mean, you got to be careful. Pickpockets about the only problem that I saw. So anyway.
Well, I don't know how much Wild and Wolves analysis you can give us, but we're going to hear it from Mark Rosen.
I watched a lot of it. I caught up. Yep.
Right here on the Tennafitzgerald. Welcome back to the Tennafitzgerald. Brett Blakemore with as well. And welcome back, Mark Rosen, back to North America, back to the great United States of America.
Yeah.
You missed a lot in the sports world. Where you gone? The NFL draft. You missed the vast majority of Wild Stars and Wolves versus Nuggets.
Right.
Do you have any sports opinions that you've gathered since you've been gone?
I was paying close attention, and there is this thing called the internet. And so I did what Common does every day, because he doesn't watch anything, and then he just looks at the sports reports.
Just reads
So I was
he just reads the gamer.
I was able to play the role of Common, except I was doing it sometimes at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't like listening to I wasn't listening to the game at all. I was just picking up on oh, of course. I mean, and I'm thrilled that I'm back. Nothing got decided. I knew when we booked the trip, I went, well, both these teams are going to be playing when I get back. And sure enough, here we are, both game sixes and both at home tonight.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that. And last time I looked, I don't think they're handing out the Stanley Cup or the Larry O'Brien trophy still. I mean, they're not giving away trophies tonight. They're just trying to get to the next round. And both the Wolves, who are, of course, are saddled with injuries, and the Wild now with Brodin out, but more importantly, have an opportunity to close at home as well, have huge tasks ahead of them. The Wild would face Colorado, of course, and the Wolves would face San Antonio with Wemby, et cetera, at least at the beginning without Ant. Huge underdogs in that series. So, I mean, it's going to be, I just want to soak in tonight as much as anything, and I think fans will, and at least the times are spread out a little bit. I think, 6:30, it'd be 6:40. And the Wolves game probably won't start till 8:45, 8:50, depending on how that works out. So it's a smorgasbord of great entertainment, we hope, and more importantly, winning at home tonight for both those teams, and a rare opportunity for both teams to advance to the second round, which has never happened at the same year. So that's. I guess, if we look at our Minnesota sports teams and what expectations are, I said before I left that Common, kept pressing me about it. I said, I thought the Wild had a better chance of winning their series than the Wolves did. That was before, obviously, the injuries hit the Wolves. But, I think now I don't know. I heard you talking a little bit earlier, and your confidence level, you said, is about a 6, I think, for the Wild tonight.
Yeah.
Out of 10, which, I mean, I worry about it a little bit because when they get it home, I watched that game the other night, and they just obviously locked down Dallas 5-on-5. I remember, having that discussion with Wes Walls, not with Wes Walls. I was talking about, I quoted Wes Walls before I left, and he said the key to the series is going to be the power play, the special teams. I went, well, he's absolutely spot on, 100% right. And you talked about it as well. The Wild cannot get away from their game tonight. They cannot take a stupid penalty the first 10 minutes and give Dallas an opportunity with that. It's been a lethal power play for the most part. 5-on-5 though, I don't recall seeing a game, a playoff game certainly, involving a Minnesota hockey team locking down an opponent like they locked down Dallas the other night.
I was going to say, I saw it happen to us in the 2003 Western Conference Finals.
Well, that was more, yeah.
We got locked down pretty good in that series.
Well, Giguère had something to do with that, with those. What I read, someone said he had goalie pads the size of a Davenport or something like that. But yeah, they after their spectacular series they had against Colorado and Vancouver, that was a letdown. But this was different. It was like you could almost hear it through the TV how the fans were going. There was literally nothing to cheer about. They couldn't even get out of their zone basically after the Wild took that lead. And so it's they know what the recipe is, but sometimes I worry about the emotions getting the best of them, especially at home. They haven't had as much success sometimes playing at home. And I think if they can get ahead early and put that pressure back on Dallas, then they should be in for a treat tonight.
Yeah, I do think this team's a little different than the past. And
100%.
I've mentioned this multiple times with the Wild, and I just know Wild fans hate to hear this because it's been, a decade now of first round losses. I did feel like last year's loss to Vegas was different, even though they lost in 6 games.
Right.
To me, the mentality, their style of play felt different. And now this is obviously a better team, right? I mean, Matt Boldy's taken a step from really good player to superstar player.
Right.
Quinn Hughes added, who's one of the best defensemen in hockey. So, this is, I just feel like, and that doesn't even mean they're going to win tonight, but regardless of the outcome, I do feel like this team has taken a massive step and is now a Stanley Cup contender, not only this year, but even if it doesn't work out this year, the next couple of years, they're assuming Quinn Hughes is still here.
Right.
Like they've got a couple kicks at the can here.
I agree 100%. And who knows what Bill Guerin has up his sleeve potentially to add a little more ammunition. When you watch the game, you can tell, I mean, the Brink kid's clearly not ready for this moment. At least it didn't look like he was. I mean, he's got
last game he wasn't.
Not last game. He's got a lot of talent, but I don't know. And obviously they have to replace Brodin at least for tonight. But that's a little worrisome if he was on crutches after the game. I don't know, lower leg injury. That doesn't sound good. But, they've had enough ammunition, and getting Zuccarello back it speaks for itself. I mean, we saw his impact, getting him on the team, getting him back in the row. And Wallstedt. I mean, I'm sure the Gus Bus is not a happy guy right now, not being able to play. I mean, they're going to ride Wallstedt, and they have to. And we talked about at the beginning, who are they going to go with? We didn't know until that day, right? I mean,
like the day or two before, yeah.
That he was going to start, who was going to get the call, and then this is what happened. You go, well, they're going to alternate? No, not now.
Well, it's his
net.
He started off going on a game-by-game basis. Now it would take a pretty catastrophic performance from him to get pulled.
Yeah, I'm sure, again, Gus is not happy, but everybody wants to play, especially when you've been playing as much as he has during the course of the year to kind of help the Wild get in the position that they earn, but coaches have to make tough decisions like that.
Wallstedt is one of those guys. Brett and I had similar opinions on this before the trade deadline. If we wanted to go out and get a significant trade, and the Wild ended up not, other than Quinn Hughes, a couple months before the trade deadline, really didn't make a big trade. They added some bottom 6 guys, which has been great. Right. Mick Herron's been great. Foligno's been quality. Petrie's going to enter the lineup tonight, but Brink's had his moments. But they didn't make a big move right before the trade deadline. And Wallstedt's name was thrown out because it was kind of like, he's our only prospect we can get. And I heard Brett say it at the time, and I said, I echoed his statement was, you only send Wallstedt away if you are getting an absolute massive superstar here, like big fish. That is the only time I would consider it. If you're just going to get a Vincent Trocheck, nope, I want Wallstedt because he's going to be your goalie for a while. And it is kind of funny now how in the course of a playoff series, it's gone from Wallsted's name was in the trade rumors and Guess what's going to happen this summer?
Gus.
Volsted's going to be here.
Right.
And the question's going to be, all right, do we keep Gus and keep our goalie tandem, or can Gus now be a guy that we can use to bring in some other players?
He's under
in a trade?
contract, I assume, Gus?
They both are, yes.
For a while,
Volsted signed, Gus signed a long-term deal. Was that last summer?
I don't know what his personality is, but, he can't be pleased. And it's not... of course he wants to play.
He didn't play well down the stretch. I mean, it was his own undoing.
He made the
and
decision.
Volstead was great.
Yeah, he made the decision for John Hines and Guerin a lot easier with his.
And
play.
If he is upset, well, guess what? The decision's working out pretty well right now for the Wild. So it's not like they made a bad choice.
Well, I was just talking to our erstwhile program director before I came in here, and it's just talk about how shuffling, what we're covering tonight, how are they doing it, and the Wild are on this network, and then I think the Wolves are on the other station. But
they're definitely on the iHeartRadio app. I know that
100%.
There's a Wolves channel that you could
correct. That's a great point. But just the idea that playing into the month of May, significant teams they're going to play against. And I don't Colorado had a great season, but, and they're well rested, but I think you're going to get in that rest or rust. I mean, that discussion, if the Wild can close things out in particular tonight, not have to go back for a game 7. I mean, when does this next series start? In the middle of next week? I don't know how they wait for other series to get to end before they start this. Don't they usually do that?
It could start this weekend.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well,
definitely if they went to a game 7, I think it would be one day off, and now you're in Colorado. You're playing right away.
And what nice problem to have.
Yes,
I don't think while they're not going to be intimidated. I mean, they're going to.
Let's just get there first. I don't care about the schedule anymore.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. So Wolves are whole other story with the injuries, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, one final segment. We'll talk Wild, Wolves, Vikings draft with Mark Rosen. If you want us to shoot us a text, you can at the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. That's 64686. We'll take your texts. And you can do some talkbacks as well on the iHeartRadio app. We'll do that all next with Rosen.
Big plans for Saturday, May 2nd. You can join the fans Chris Hockey at Aquarius Home Services in Little Canada for their Customer Appreciation Open House. You can enjoy great food. Say hi to Hockey from 10:30 to 12:30, and you can check out some amazing savings. All the details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Granson in front of Bogosian, fired a shot, knifed it wide, 5 seconds left. Haskin at the left point, has to hurry, took a shot. It's trickled around in front, and the Minnesota Wild hang on. They've got a 3-2 series lead. They double up the Stars 4-2 with a win here in Dallas, and they will have the Stars on the brink of elimination Thursday night in St. Paul.
Yeah, Joe O'Donnell on the call the other night on the Fan. Wild begin 4 hours from now. Pregame at 6:15. The game starts sometime after 6:30. I got a couple of texts on the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line, Rosie.
Yes, sir.
At 64686. Does Mark have front row seats at the Wolves or sweet tickets for the Wild? That's the real question. Which game you going to tonight?
Karn got tickets for the Wolves, but I don't think they're front row. I don't know where they are.
So you're going to the Wolves game?
Going to the Wolves game. And I was ready to sit home and soak it all in. But I'll going to the Wolves tonight. And definitely after the Wild dispose of Dallas, I'll go to the Colorado series. But no, I mean it's a tough call. I mean for fans, it's the best of both worlds, and like I said, they will bleed over into each other a little bit. And you never know, of course, with the Wild situation, it could easily go to overtime. We've had a lot of overtime games. The Vegas game was 2 overtimes last night, right? They came back and won that game, I think.
They did in double overtime.
Yeah. So they're stinging. I watched the end of the Flyers-Pittsburgh game. That also went to overtime. So, I mean, again, it's a better chance of that. Considering how tightly contested this series has been, wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened again tonight, which is dramatic as hell, but it's something you don't really want to have happen for your own personal health at that point.
Both games in St. Paul have gone to overtime thus far this series.
Exactly. So, no, the Wolves game is 8:40, 8:45, and we were waiting to hear. I mean, Io is I assume he's going to try to give it a go. He was listed as questionable, but so was Bones Highland earlier in the day. Now he's definitely going to play. I think Io will play. I think he's going to give it a shot. I can't imagine, unless those calf injuries. As we know, Aaron Gordon is out for Denver, and he's still out. I mean, he's listed as questionable, but I don't. Everyone, according to the Denver reporters, it doesn't seem like he's going to play. And they're missing, Peyton Watson. They're a really good defender. So, I mean, I wouldn't equate those two, missing Dante and of course Ant. That doesn't even out quite the same, but it shows you that injuries play a big role, and especially when you have you got 8-9 man rotation. So it's going to be up. Mike Conley will get a significant playing time tonight. We'll see what Terrence Shannon does. I've heard, Chris Finch has been riding him. You got to step it up defensively, but I think Terrence Shannon, when he does get out there, just got to do what he does best, and that's just go 100 miles an hour and try to light up the scoreboard a little bit. I think he does have that ability. And Jalen Clark, I mean, let's not forget about him. He's a pretty good defender and can knock down a few shots. So your bench will be tested. That is for sure. And you've got to stay, Jaden McDaniels, close circuit to Jaden, stay the hell out of foul trouble in the first half in particular. Do not get those 2 fouls, and they had 25 turnovers the other night. And that's that stuff just can't happen at home. And you could try to wear down Denver. They're not their bench, their supporting cast have been pretty good, but not necessarily here at Target Center.
It is pretty amazing how quickly the feel of a series can change because. The Wolves, they win 3 in a row, games 2, games 3, games 4. Obviously, Ant and Dante get hurt in game 4. But you went from you'd gotten to the point where the Wolves are winning the series. I've never seen Joker as limited offensively. I've been Rudy Gobert basically one-on-one, not needing help.
Yeah.
I don't want to say shut down, but he was defending Joker better than I've ever seen anyone defending him. And when you take Joker out, they just don't have the depth with Denver to overcome some of that stuff. And so to go from, even though they won game 4 in the fashion they won it, with Io getting 43 points and Target Center was absolutely on fire, to go from we are going to win this series, we are the better team, to, oh gosh, I mean, they're not even the favorites anymore, even though there's still 2 games to go and they have the lead in the series. It's
crazy. It's
going to
crazy.
be a
Denver's
challenge.
favored tonight.
They're favored to win the series.
Yeah, the series, which is, I mean, they got to win 2 games now. And it's just, I don't know, they keep underselling the Timberwolves, which I don't think they give a rip. I know they don't give a rip about it, that part of it from a point spread standpoint or, favorite standpoint. It's I won't quite say it's bulletin board material. It doesn't matter. It's not going to matter tonight. You just got to, play the basics and do it really, really well. And like I said, I just think that Jaden McDaniels has been such a lightning rod for this series in so many ways. I'm glad to see him engaged, but I just hope he controls those silly fouls that he can commit at times. And they can't, especially tonight, more than ever, cannot have him sit next to Chris Finch on the bench early in this game, saddled with 2 fouls. They can't, they can't afford to have him out there late. So that to me is a big part of how they're going to approach this game, because they're going to be jacked. Obviously, the crowd's going to be insane both places tonight, but the Wolves in particular got to play with really a lot of composure early on in the
problem is when you don't have Ant and you don't have Dante, because Dante was having a great series before he got hurt. I mean, he was terrific. He was basically hitting every open 3. When you don't have those guys, right? When both of them are in the lineup, you can get away with Jaden not having a great offensive game.
100%.
You can get away with Julius Randle not having a great offensive game. Once those 2 are out, then all of those guys, your margin for error. It took a 43-point effort from Io in game 4 for them to win that game. It's just your margin from error is Io has to play well, Bones has to play well.
And think about the road traveled by Mike Conley, and he wasn't playing at all. He accepted his role. He knew he wasn't going to get much playing time as the season progressed, the regular season. He ends up going to where, the Bulls or something, for a cup of coffee, and then bam, he's back at Minnesota. And now, not only back with Minnesota, but expected to play, significant minutes. And I like the fact that he's out there. I think his composure, he's obviously fresh. He's been through he understands how to run an offense. And so that in itself is a plus for Minnesota. He doesn't have to be, and he won't be the shooting hero or the defensive hero, but he knows how to not make critical mistakes. So there's a lot of ways you can approach this series and look at it. I think, the home court advantage tonight in particular should mean something. The Wolves, they can get on one of those rolls that they very capable of. But I still think it's going to absolutely, unless they can, just destroy the Denver Nuggets' confidence, and Joker gets in foul trouble. He does get tired in the fourth quarter, and we've seen Seeing the Nuggets in particular. They don't have the altitude problem here in Minneapolis, but they have had issues, kind of staying fresh. And that's why I think they got to run them hard.
Like I said, we have talkbacks on the iHeartRadio app. If you just go to the KFAN radio station, you can hit the play button. You got no more than 30 seconds to record. That is your maximum. Here is a talkback we received.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
This is Chef Gianluca. Or Gianluca. You can say it either way. I just want to let you know I had a wonderful time cooking for the Michael Rosen. He is such a great guy and so many great sports takes. There's only one issue. He did not pay his bill.
That's not
so
true.
So if he could reach out to me and pay that $600 bottle of Chianti is really expensive. Ciao, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Oh, we paid it all right.
That's the funniest Larry Mondello guy's ever been, right there.
That's really funny. That was very good. Yeah, that was
Chef Gianluca?
Yes, that was my guy. It was one of those things where you felt like you're eating in somebody's house. That was not the meal they prepared for us. We went to his little restaurant that someone gave us a tip on. And, he was a one-man show. It's like out of a movie with him and his assistant. And they had the dumb waiter or the chef was, the cooking was down on the first floor. We were up on the second floor with about 6 other people. And Gianluca was walking around, and it was a meal of a lifetime. It really was. But that's a very funny imitation. It wasn't Chianti.
While you were gone, the Vikings draft, I think first one, maybe last one, but maybe first of many for Rob Brzezinski as GM. Surprising first-round draft pick. I think many thought Caleb Banks, defensive tackle, would go later. They end up snapping him up at number 18 overall. What did you think of the Purples
draft? Well, all I can tell you is that my wife has been involved in budget meetings with the Vikings, and now their food budget has increased double because of the 2 of the first 3 guys they drafted.
Big citrus.
They added about 700 pounds. That's a lot of pasta.
Let's call them the Williams Wall.
The
Williams Wall.
I have, listen, we can always dissect, the Mel Kipers of the world and give grades and all that BS. I don't, it's like either way. I mean, it's like, let's see how it plays out. But it's definitely given the fact that they, Hargrave and who was it, Allen? He barely played.
Jonathan Allen.
They had a lot of need up front, and we know that Brian Flores' fingerprints were a lot beyond this, and the linebacker they took, and never have a problem with drafting defensive linemen or more defense because that's the name of the game, and I think especially in the interior line that they needed help at. So we'll see if these guys can not just play but perform at a high level even right away in their rookie season, but. They added some beef, that's for sure. And now it's, I think nothing happened with the wide receiver, right? Johnson?
John Jennings?
Jennings, not Johnson. I mean, Jennings, yeah.
Haven't heard anything on that yet.
No, he apparently left town with the open discussions. And
maybe Karin can let us know about that. Was there a contract offered?
Wide receiver number 3, yeah. So that hasn't happened yet. But that, there's still plenty of time for all that. So I don't know. I mean, it's far from an exact science, as we know all too well. But I think this was Rob's one and only chance. I think they are going to, hire someone from the outside. Rob will be fine with that. He's not going to be bitter. He's had a, wonderful run with the Vikings organization and very instrumental in so many decisions that they make, and especially when it comes to the salary cap. So, if they decide to go elsewhere and they're going to have to go through that whole interview process, so be it. They find the best man available or woman for the job.
Yeah, I don't know what the salary difference is between Rob's current job and what the GM position would be, but if it's not significant, Rob, you've got more job security than anyone in the National Football League right now. Just stay in your job.
Yeah, that's true. And he's been happy here. He's been here for a long time, and I think he's his body of work speaks for itself. But there's always the Vikings haven't been hiding any of this. They made it very clear from the outset, and I think that Andrew Miller is going to be involved. It's Karin's boss. He's going to be involved in the interview process, and I'm glad that Wilf's already established. Look, we're not leaking any names. We're not going to go through that nonsense. When we hire someone, we'll let you know. That's gonna be it.
I felt like the one take I got out of this, and it doesn't surprise me with Rob Brzezinski on board, right? I think Rob is going to be more willing to listen to other voices and try to collaborate. But leaving the draft, I thought to myself, this draft has Brian Flores' fingerprints all over it, right? Like Caleb Banks, like they've talked about, he's a guy who can play basically 3 different spots on the line. The second round pick, Jake Golday, the linebacker. Right. He's kind of like a Van Ginkel, where you can have him rush the passer here, you can have him cover out in the pass here. Big Citrus, they need some.
I love that nickname.
The safety, Jacoby Thomas, another guy who's supposed to be versatile, can play multiple positions and do multiple things. So even I don't know as much about Charles Demings, a cornerback, but I've heard that he's like a Flores type cornerback. So it just seemed like Flores had in my opinion, had a lot of influence on these defensive picks.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I don't think ultimately, again, if they went best player available on the board, they probably went by their board. But we don't know 100%. But I agree. I mean, Brian Flores was rewarded, with a new contract, and he's locked in, and he likes to have his toys and move them around, and he's got some good pieces back there. But now they got to go and prove it. I mean, we go through this every year. The Vikings are still, I think, picked to finish probably last in the division. I mean, I don't think anything will change between now and September in terms of what they'll do if they sign Jennings. I mean, it's not going to move the needle, and that's fine. Who cares? It doesn't matter. We've seen teams come up, and you can't project how these guys are going to do, and we don't know what again with Murray taking over. We think at quarterback, and what's JJ McCarthy's situation going to be. They did add another running back, but I'm still a little skeptical of how well they're going to be able to run the football with the room, what it looks like right now. I mean, one of the running backs they took was late in the
6th
round pick, and he said
I think he might surprise a little bit though.
Well, he might. Yeah, that's what you need. You have to have one of those guys in late round. That's why you keep those late round picks. There can be some sleepers that come through the.
Like I function in the fantasy football world, so clearly there's a difference between fantasy football and real football. But when it comes to running back, like I think there's some correlation there. I know some analysts that thought he was the second best running back in the draft.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have also heard that the Vikings were surprised he went to the 6th round.
Yeah.
So,
he's going to have a chance here. If nothing else,
he's probably not going to have a chance early.
Yep.
But Aaron Jones has had a history of not staying healthy, and I think he's probably more of an Aaron Jones replacement, right? I think he's more of a combo. He's not very big. He's actually a pretty small running back. I think he's only like 189 pounds.
Those guys can succeed in this league.
He's kind of like it might be like after this season when Aaron Jones is gone, he'll be that Aaron Jones filling in the 1-2 punch with Jordan Mason.
Right.
How many days were you gone for? How long was your trip?
10, 11 days.
Were the Twins in first place before you left for Italy?
You know what? I don't know. It's so weird that you just said that. I honestly, last night, I just checked the standings for the first time in 2 weeks, and I saw they're blowing they've been getting pretty good starting pitching by all accounts, right? But their bullpen, which we knew was going to be horrendous, has lived up to its billing, right? I mean, they've blown leads. They haven't, the starters have to be getting discouraged, and they're blowing a lot of late game leads, and that's not going to change. I mean, no one over there should be surprised. You made your own bed when it came to your bullpen. You said goodbye to,
and then you didn't fix your bed.
No, never. You just let it unmade.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, this is early May, and I'm not going to get wrapped up in. Because they are who we thought they were, as Denny Green once said, and that's unfortunate, but not going to really get much better, and that bullpen's not going to get fixed.
No. All right, predictions tonight. We have 2 game 6s. Will any of these series will either series be over after tonight?
Well, for avoiding being not saying I'm a homer, I'm thinking both of the home teams are going to win tonight. I think that. Oh my gosh! I think the Wild feel really confident, and after watching what they did defensively, when was the last time Dallas has scored a 5-on-5 goal? Was it like? I don't know.
You were probably in Rome at the time.
I think I probably was. I mean, they were so bottled up, and get that first goal. I think Dallas is going to be in trouble. And I think the Wolves are just going to find a way. I really do. I mean, obviously, I think it would be a lot harder for the Timberwolves to go back to Denver and win a Game 7 than Wait, who's playing who? And then the
Wolves. Yes, Wolves at Denver.
Wolves go back to Denver and win a game 7. Then it would be.
I think if the Wolves don't win tonight, I agree.
Done. I agree. I can't. I'm not saying that about the Wild though, because I think
the Wild could win a game 7 in Dallas.
Absolutely,
they've already won. They've won twice there.
We both agree on that. That's why I think it's going to be imperative for obviously the Wolves to try to close this thing out, and then hopefully get a little bit of rest. And I don't know what the prognosis is. We keep hearing about Ant. They potentially could come back. They would play San Antonio, which would be a great matchup with Wemby and his mentor Rudy Gobert from France. And I think that would be a fun series to watch.
And the Wild would have to play Colorado, who basically they've had so much time off. They went to Italy, and then they'll be able to come back in time for the trip. So maybe they've lost some weight in there. Maybe they've shed some pounds.
Exactly. That's a great series. We all knew what was going to be happening, and you can't complain about the
format. We're not talking about that series yet. I'm sorry. You can talk Wolves of San Antonio. I'm not talking Colorado.
That's fine.
Not going to do it.
No,
let's take care of business tonight.
100%. This everybody enjoy. This is we've been waiting for, and then now you got to close. That's the thing. I mean, I don't want to feel like, this is Minnesota again. And it's like, oh boy, we had our chances. This is game 6. Last time I looked, no one's getting eliminated tonight, except if it's the opposition. So, they will live for another day, but this is big, for both franchises. I mean, it's going to be both Minneapolis and downtown St. Paul are just going to be on fire tonight. So let's go get them.
Text from Quinn where are you from, Quinn? Chaska. Who needs to step up the most for the Minnesota Wild to make a serious playoff push starting tonight? Who needs to step up the most, Rosie?
Wow. I mean, we know what Kirill's been doing and Boldy's been doing. I'm trying to think of another, player that. I mean,
most of their good players have been good.
They have.
I would say we're due for a Quinn Hughes moment. He's been good, and he's been much better defensively in the playoffs than he was in the regular season. Way better.
But I'm waiting for Quinn Hughes. I don't think stepping up.
But we still there hasn't been that significant Quinn Hughes moment. I think we could see
Ryan Hartman.
I was just going to mention Ryan Hartman.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I think Ryan, especially now that line is reunited with Matt Zuccarello. When Zuccarello and Kaprizov are out there, Hartman can kind of just be sneaky and be behind the scenes because the other two cause so much of a distraction and so much focus. I do think we could have a big Ryan Hartman moment.
I'd say Jake Middleton. He's got to step up into the top 4 now with Brodin going down. So if anyone wants to step up, I'd say it'd be Middleton tonight.
Yeah, but he ain't going to be taking over.
Well, correct. Yeah.
One other text from TP2K guy wants to know, can you ask Rosen if Perkins is better in Italy?
Oh my, that's a good one. I looked everywhere for the gold. I mean, no, did not see a Perkins.
Well, I hope you enjoyed your time back. You will get going on Tuesday.
Well, it's a long time.
Common will get you going.
Well, we know the series will be over. Let's hope both the Wild and the Wolves are still playing when I have to deal with Common again next week.
All right, thanks, Rosie. Thanks to Brett Blakemore for helping out as well. Dane Moore, Kelly Panic, Ryan Carter. Appreciate them joining the Tennafitzgerald. I'll be back tomorrow. Pat Micheletti in studio for the first hour to break down that Wild win tonight.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.